So talking about stories, um, his temperament obviously was different than a lot of people. So talk about the one time where he's in the car and the windows rolled down and just go ahead and tell the
Yeah. Well,
story.
Clyde told me this when they were in Beaumont, and Daddy had a business manager, little bitty short guy. His name was Biddy Brunson, and Clyde said he probably hadn't brushed his teeth since World War One. And Biddy's in the front seat, and my daddy's in the back seat. Of course, the windows rolled down. Daddy always had a little, if you remember Boston Blackie comics, little Boston back, little thin mustache. But Daddy always took pride, always kept it trimmed and everything. Daddy always looked neat. So we're going down the road, and Biddy's in the front seat, and Daddy's in the back seat. And Biddy cleared his throat and had to spit, and he harked one up, and he spit it out the window, and it came back, hit my dad right in the mustache. Said Daddy didn't even move, and he said it's just in his mustache dripping down. And Daddy says, Biddy, yeah, Shelly, I would appreciate it in the future if you would refrain from spitting in my mustache. And just running all down.
Oh man, most of us would have hit the guy
Exactly.
or something. So
Well, he had another incident with Biddy. Well, it wasn't Biddy, a guy named Broadcloth Kelly. Daddy knew all kind of characters. So he had another guy in the band. His name was Kelly Swim. Daddy called him Broadcloth Kelly because Daddy had a broadcloth shirt that Kelly stole from him, so he called him Broadcloth Kelly. Daddy wasn't married at the time. Now, this is Beaumont during the war. They had all these boarding houses, and the walls are like paper thin, and you can hear everything. And so, for whatever reason, Kelly needed a place to stay. So Daddy could stay with me, so he stayed in the bed. So they go to sleep at night. In the middle of the night, Daddy wakes up, and he's mad at Kelly. And he said, blankly, he said, Kelly, man, he said, you done peed on me. And he didn't say peed, you done peed on me. He said, no, Shelly, I didn't do that. And he said, you must have done it to yourself. And Daddy said, Kelly, what kind of position do you think I'd have to get on to pee on my own damn back? And guys, the room just cracking up, you know. That was him, Broadcloth Kelly and Biddy Brunson. And Clyde said he knew people like, they sound like mafia characters that he would know. And they would, when I was growing up, people would just come to town and come to see him. People he knew, I don't know who they were, maybe musicians or people in the music business. They'd come by to see him, visit with him. And he had, like Clyde, a couple of them, one named Guy Fletcher. Was one of them. I mean, it sounds like a mafia hitman or something. Guy Fletcher and people like that he knew. Like I said, everybody.
and most of these were their real names I guess, or some of them
Yeah,
he nicknamed.
yeah. The guy Kelly Swim. Okay, first time Clyde ever saw him, they had a radio program in Beaumont. Everybody had radio programs, and that morning there was a guy named Kelly Swim, and Clyde said, Daddy said, old friend of mine from vaudeville days. And he sat on in a chair next to the wall, radio program. Clyde said, I can't wait to hear what this guy plays, man. He's got to be a fine musician. All of a sudden, in the middle of the song, Kelly's just sitting there, and Daddy says, take one, Kelly. And he jumped to the microphone, played his hands. Oh, my gosh.
As far as names, we talked about the nicknames, but how good was your dad at remembering names?
Terrible. Terrible. He didn't remember Mama's name. One time they were on a trip, and Mama tells this story, and they get off the bus. And Daddy, only thing he cared about was his briefcase. He always had that with his music in it, and his fiddle case. He didn't care about the rest of it. So they get to the place, they get off, and they get off the bus, and Mama realizes that Daddy had left his briefcase on the bus. So she runs back to get it. Daddy doesn't realize it. And he's anxious to get off that bus, and he starts hollering at her, but he couldn't remember her name. He remembered every wife he ever had. Phyllis, Margie, Lucille. Velma, and the people on the bus would crack it up. Didn't remember Mama's name. Now, he was terrible with things.
What was his doctor's name? What was...
Well, there was a doctor named, what was it? Rosenthal. Daddy didn't like him. He called him Rosenwheel. Didn't like him. You want me to tell that story?
Yeah.
Daddy hadn't been feeling good. And so Mama said, go see Dr. Rosenthal. And Daddy wrote down, like he would do music, he wrote down what his symptoms were. So he goes down there to see, and he comes back later on, and Mama said, how'd it go? I'm not going back to see them little wheezing wheel. Mama said, why? He said, well, we got in there, and first of all, he said, take your clothes off, and he did, and said, wheezing wheel comes in and said, well, you are a skinny so-and-so, and that ticked him off. Then he gets the list out. Of course, the doctor had him sized up, and he says, okay, Mr. Alley, it says here that you've got a pain in your head that feels like someone driving a railroad spike between your eyes. Can you imagine a pain? Then he said, it also says here, you've got a pain in your stomach, feels like a bomb exploding. And the doctor tells him, Dad said, maybe you're pregnant. Didn't make. Can you imagine describing your symptom? You got a pain in your head, feel like somebody driving a railroad spike between your eyes. I mean, that'd be pretty painful. Only he would come up with something like that.
Now another nickname I guess he had. I don't know if it was his rival band, but was it in Beaumont? Yeah. His rival band. Yeah. Tell him about Poncho.
Yeah, there's a guy. He was not a Hispanic guy, but he went by his Poncho and the Farmhands, and he was kind of Daddy's rival band, so to speak. And something happened, and one night, in fact, Clyde took me over to Beaumont, showed me the house. There's a railroad track right in front of the house, and went right into downtown Beaumont. And Poncho called in and canceled the playing job. And Daddy said on the phone to Poncho, he said, well, you're one blankety blank I can whip. When I get done shaking, you sound like 1,000 crap games going off for Beaumont at one time. And grabbed a ball peen hammer and was out the front down the railroad track. He's going to whip Poncho. And Mama said, better catch it. And of course, Clyde caught him and brought him back. And later on, him and Poncho had some kind of falling out. And there's a place they would go after playing job called a pig stand in Beaumont. And Daddy and his band walking out, and Poncho and his band are walking in. Poncho and his band are walking out, and they thought, boy, when Shelly and Poncho get together, man, they're going to have it out. They're walking in as they're passing by, and Poncho says, hi, Shell, and Daddy says, hi, Ponch, and walk with them into Ponch.
Yeah, so much for that
So much for that.
drama.
Yeah.
How long was he in Beaumont?
He got there about 1943, and we moved from Beaumont about sometime in 1946, about 3 years then.
And I guess at that point, the music was dying down a little bit as far as
a little bit.
with the
and
war
Daddy
ending.
had a guy from Houston that he used to know. He said, man, Shelly, y'all come to Houston. I got all kind of jobs lined up for you. Well, that's another story because it said it didn't exactly happen.